they found Ralphie May dead, and Ralphie May was a funny guy. He was a funny comedian, and I personally, you know, he touched me in a personal way. I was living in Naples, Florida, and I was working at Captain Brian's, and Ralphie May was performing at Captain Brian's. It was a seafood restaurant kind of joint, and he was able to get Ralphie May. And Ralphie May had said that he'd been hanging out with Captain Brian, but he said he was going to go on his boat, but he don't have a boat. He ain't no captain. And, I laughed, and it's probably why I wasn't allowed to stick around and work for the guy, but it was funny as fuck. He told truth to power, wasn't nervous about it. He's the one that paid him to come, and he made a good point. You saying I'm going to go out on your boat? Where's your damn boat? You don't have no boat. You ain't no captain. Why you call yourself? He had this one joke where he teaches his kids how to cuss. He's got a little boy and a little girl, I think, and he has a wife. So I wonder, I'm sure they'll be in good hands. He did a shit ton of specials. He had like 7, Netflix specials, or 12 or something, USO tours, 19 USO tours, and he was very prolific. So for the last few years of his life, maybe he just knew that, I don't know if he had an eating condition or what was up. I mean, he was very obese, and he would make jokes about it. There were several times I made this one comment, just basically, it was like Jim Belushi swallowed Chris Farley. And, it wasn't even a funny thing. It was kind of like, man, I'm concerned about your health. Can't you go jogging, and can't you get somebody to walk? I mean, you got that money. Can't you get a personal trainer to get somebody to go walk with you? And so I mentioned to him 2-3 times on Twitter, 19 USO shows. He was in 13 different war zones, 7 Netflix specials, and 4 special, Carnegie Hall or something. So, I warned him, but unfortunately, fuck it, right? Fuck it. So he was sitting there, he taught his son, fuck it, and he was saying that, the kid's wonderful, the kid's great. He was like, hey, you hungry? Fuck it, I don't know, fuck it, Dad. And he was like, well, you want like a sandwich or something? Yeah, give me a sandwich, fuck it, I don't know, fuck it. And he said, well, now he's trying to clean it up a little bit because his wife keeps pinching him to say F it, and so he comes across some people that was in the way while his dad was driving. He was like, oh, these effing people, look, F it, look at all these people. And the mom was getting mad about it, but then he was like, yeah, he's right there. Look, fuck them. What the fuck are they doing? And so Ralphie May, his whole thing was actually, it was kind of racist shtick. It wasn't, he was anti-racist. He wasn't a racist himself, but he saw cultural differences. And so his whole deal was sort of, let's get, instead of pretending that we're not all different and that we have different cultural attributes, why don't we all just laugh at ourselves? So he had this one, just correct, right? As long as he's correct, he was like, there's one thing, oh yeah, because that never happens, right? Because that never happens. So he had some, but I think it was actually a good social critique in some respects, because it wasn't like, it didn't come out of a void, so he seemed like he was smarter than your average bear. He has this one bit about scuba diving. He was in a theater, and these, 2 folks in front of him just kept talking about scuba diving. I mean, they were talking about scuba diving, but they said Cuba, and I don't know. It was funny. So, fuck it, right? Fuck it. Ralphie May said that his kids cuss better than most immigrants do. Ralphie May talked about how Puerto Ricans, the gay Puerto Ricans, they do gay like, no American does. Puerto Rican takes gay to a whole nother level. About, I guess their gay males are very flamboyant. And so he talked about chili-stained bowls. He said that, your whipped cream bowls, your chili-stained whipped cream bowls. And so I remember that. That comes from poverty. And so he comes from poverty. He's kind of like a white black dude in a way. There's some is there cultural, he was his own person, but I guess I get the sense that he was kind of blackish, but maybe, is that me? Maybe I'm just putting that on him, because he had his own flavor, his own culture. He's fat as fuck too, so I guess he might have known he was going to die, right? So let's hurry up and just produce all this work so my kids will have, and he pointed out that, he said so many things. He said he looks like Chaz Bono. Chaz Bono got a transgendered sex change and then looked like Ralphie May. And then he points out that this one woman had the camel toe, but it wasn't just one camel toe. It was like, 4 or 5 of them, and it was breathing. He said that was a fat monkey. And he criticized, he had got banned from the radio show, KTRS, and he has FCC insurance, which is kind of wild. But Sammy Sosa, George W. Bush had traded Sammy Sosa. And so he was sitting there saying that nobody with that kind of judgment would be a good president. And in hindsight, he said he was right. Ralphie May was right. His analysis of George W. Bush was that he traded Sammy Sosa, so he's not a smart, what the fuck? He don't know what the fuck he's doing. What a dumbass, right? Sammy fucking Sosa. The last thing I'm going to mention is that he got into some controversy at the end. I didn't even hear about this, but just going through some of his old videos. There was a $25,000 bounty on his head. He had made some Native American jokes, and his whole shtick was that, let's all just laugh at ourselves. And so he would say, racial shit, and he would, cultural stereotypes. But the whole idea was, we're going to get past this by laughing at, this group and that group, and then offend everybody. Everybody's offended. So that's how he begins his show. Just goes and offends every single person. So his jokes with Native Americans, he was talking about something at the casino, how they didn't have any corn at a casino, and so, one place you should expect some corn would be at a Native American casino. Maize, corn, that's where, corn was founded in the Americas, and so, yeah, you would think some sort of joke about Native Americans, what happened to them was pretty bad, but then he lost, $50,000 at the casino, so, he got hit pretty bad too. So I think just that corn joke at the casino, so I think it was just very biting sort of, social commentary, because that's very much true that maize is a cornerstone of Native American societies. Corn was found in Americas, not in Europe, so Europe didn't even know about the potato, the tomato, and the corn. So, corn was indigenous to this continent. And so, maybe they're just pissed off that he pointed out something that, other Native Americans hadn't pointed out. And now there's a bounty, and they said that he's on the dark web. The FBI contacted him. There was an actual bounty. He got 7,000 death threats. So, that was, he took some fucking heat, right? He did it for you, fuck it. Just fuck it. I'm not sure exactly what Ralphie May's legacy is going to be, because I think in some respects he's going to be looked at as a prophet. Greg Giraldo, he would introduce different cultural observations that he would mention too, and just noticing cultural differences. You could love the humanness of everybody, but also the differences give us flavor. So you can love the sameness that we all are and the differences. So his premise is kind of ridiculous. His whole premise is that when it comes to racism, let's just, I don't know how to honor Ralphie May. We shouldn't just go around being shitty racist. So I'm not for sure what we should do to honor Ralphie May. But George Carlin, he was just watching as, the whole world burned, and he was just there at the, front rows at the freak show. He got front row tickets to the freak show. So I think we just honor Ralphie May by being just correct. Just be correct. As long as you're correct, instead of saying, and let's not generalize. Let's just talk specifics. That specific person over there who happens to be, this. We have different, white, black, brown, but I think there's 20 different hues. You can separate them into so many different colors, and there's no pure white or pure black, but there's something there, right? There's been a person, it's stuck around for a long-ass time, so let's just be correct, and if you can't be correct, well, then fuck.